everyone, LQ here, doing a quick video to discuss my thoughts on Garmadon issue number 5, and more specifically, the series as a whole now that it has concluded. Of course, there will be spoilers, so if you do not want any spoilers for Garmadon issue number 5 and the series as a whole, as well as Ninjago Crystallized, I recommend that you bookmark this video, come back to it after you are all caught up. If you're coming into this wondering, should I go ahead and read the Garmadon comic series? My answer at this point is going to be maybe. Honestly, I was not that impressed with it by the end. I thought it had a very strong beginning, and then it kind of just puttered out. It was not very fast-paced. Not a whole lot happens. Honestly, the whole story could have been told in 1 or 2 or 3 at most issues. It feels like a lot of it was padded out. While there are some cool moments overall, it feels very inconsequential by the end. We don't get a whole lot of substance. So as for this issue itself, really, again, nothing remarkable. The art is always really good in this. I do like that. Where Garmadon faces the villain of this series, Morgoth. Defeats him by feeding him the tea. And then he just kind of moves on. Now, my big issue with the series as a whole is we were kind of sold that this was going to be canon, that it was going to be working with the show and all the existing media. And it doesn't really. It doesn't work with the canon that we are given in Crystallized, because we know now in Crystallized, again, spoilers for Crystallized if you haven't seen it, it's on Netflix now. Garmadon basically, right after March of the Oni, immediately goes and sees Vinny, and kind of lives with him from there after some attempts to do good. This comic series kind of goes a different route, where afterwards Wu goes and talks to him, which we know in the show there is no spot where Wu could go and talk to him after we got those flashbacks. Wu goes, talks to him, takes his helmet and throws that off. And in the show, he, for one, always has the helmet. That never goes away. He immediately goes to Ninjago City, tries to do good, then goes to Vinny. This one, he gets rid of the helmet, Wu gives him his hat, and then he goes on the quest into Moon Village, and it's implied other places as well. It just doesn't fit with the narrative we're given. It wasn't referenced at all in the show, and it's entirely inconsequential. Well, you could say, oh, well, this happened in between, then he went back to Ninjago some other point, because at the end of the series he does, it's implied he'd come back for his helmet at some point, which, forget again what the villain's name is already. I want to say it's Morgoth. That might even just be something from Lord of the Rings. He didn't stick out as the most memorable character to me. He doesn't have a minifigure either, so obviously that's always a downside. But, it's alright, like I said. It just doesn't really fit in the show, and if you want to market this as a canon book, it's more of a could-be canon book. If anything, it does not have enough bearing on the overall story, and I feel they kind of mismarketed it, as they have been quite a few other things with Ninjago this year. Just to be upfront and be honest, this is no different than the graphic novels before it that were written by Greg, the Dark Island trilogy, which is, yes, still canon, but only referenced a little bit. More than this, at least. I feel like the Dark Island trilogy at least fits in better than this does. But this fits in just about as well as those earlier Paper Cuts graphic novels, which were eventually declared non-canon once they decided they want to do something different than those books did. I feel like they treat this the same way in Ninjago canon, that it's just not going to hold up. It's not a primary canon. It's secondary at best, and that cheapens it, and they shouldn't have marketed it as something else. So those are my thoughts. It can be an enjoyable read, more so at the beginning. I feel like it kind of gets a bit boring later on otherwise. And this is from the perspective of a die-hard Ninjago fan that really likes lore. It just doesn't feel like the lore we get in this is going to be too substantial in the end. So that's going to do it for today. Be sure to check out our other videos. You can check out my review of Crystallized in both short form and in the podcast if you want my thoughts on that series as a whole. And as always, I will see you on the next video.